Hi everyone, Marisa Stone here with Simon Says Social and the Systems Lounge, and I want to welcome you today to the 2018 Premier International Women's Business Systems Virtual Summit, where you get to learn all about the systems that our speakers are using to get things done. And I am super excited to have my dear friend and colleague, Stacy Braiuca, here today. She is going to be talking with us all about one of my favorite topics, Automation 101. Let's dive into this, but before I do, let me tell you a little bit about Stacy. Stacy is a creator, a connector, and a translator by nature, and I know this to be true about her. She has always loved creating, from art to technology to client and community change. Actually, it's truly change that what drives her. So with her love of technology, it actually started, get this guys, back in the days of the Commodore 64 computer at a very young age when she grabbed that computer for the first time. And it continues today, as she's always been one of those early adopters of the latest technology. And because she kind of gets in on that ground floor, she learns all she needs to know about the platform, and then she turns around and she teaches it to others, which is one of the ways in which her and I connect on a regular basis. She has taught both small and large groups on many different topics, from community education inside different platforms like formal education, and both in online and offline mediums. She currently teaches as an adjunct instructor at UMKC's MSW program and ATSU's online MPH program. Her roles as both a technology and a creativity coach, she helps her clients truly dive in and solve these problems in order to be able to reach their goals using both technology and creativity. And I know that sounds like those are on two ends of the spectrum, but when you're trying to figure out how to integrate a piece of technology into a plan that you're trying to execute, that creativity comes in handy. So from doodling to watercolor to digital art to lamp work glass, these are all creative loves that truly feed her soul and give her joy. She also enjoys live streaming, being a tech advocate, and she is by heart a true gadget collector. Stacy, I'm so excited to have you here on the summit. Welcome.
I love being here. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me here.
Awesome. So let's kind of begin at the beginning. I am so excited to get into this conversation. What in the world is automation?
Oh, automation is lots of different things to different people. To some people, it may simply be that an email that comes in, I don't know, how many emails do you get a day, if I can turn a question?
Well, the average person gets 147. We won't talk about how far outside the average I actually am.
Well, I'll go ahead and spill. When I count up my jobs or my hats of the day, currently I'm working for 7 to 8 different places.
Right.
And some of them. And because of that, I easily, and not counting junk mail, I easily get 200 emails a day.
Yeah, it's not unusual.
The reason I'm not counting the junk mail is, those emails that you get because you really want to kind of keep an eye on the Michaels ad or the somebody's business opportunities, but you can't necessarily keep up with them on a daily basis or when they send them. You want to have it's like a fear of missing out. You want to have all of them, but you want to be able to read them when you want to. Back in the day, we used to watch TV, and it's, oh my gosh, it's Tuesday night. It's time for Happy Days at 7 o'clock. Okay.
You got to be there.
I just aged myself.
At 7 o'clock, on a Tuesday. Yeah.
At 7 on Tuesday night. Then along came the VCR, and it's, I can tape it.
Yeah.
Then the digital DVRs. Then all of a sudden things came along like Hulu and Amazon Prime and Netflix. And then it was like, I can watch a whole season of
binging
whatever.
On demand.
Yeah, on demand. And we've become a very on-demand culture.
Yeah.
So in the spirit of that, I want my email on demand.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want all of my email when it gets to me. I want to be able to figure out when I look at it.
Yeah.
Because I do that, it also maximizes my time when I'm doing tasks. Therefore, I can get more done in less time.
Yeah.
which is how I work for 7 different places, but that's
Yeah.
a big story.
Yeah.
So a simple form of automation would be email from Domino's comes in and it gets read. It gets automatically, it's set by a rule, gets read, it gets filed, and it might get forwarded to my certain Trello card that says coupons.
Right.
So when I want dinner at night, I can either go to their website or I can go to my coupons card on my Trello board and go, who sent me a coupon lately?
Yeah.
And look at all of the coupons from all of the different places instead of going to each website. Again,
Right.
it's shaving off. I see automation as shaving off little bits of time,
Mm-hmm.
automating to liberate your time so
Yeah.
that you can do what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all the other cool things you want to do. I think it's really
Oh.
important to understand that automation is a means to an end, a means to your goal. Like whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, can you take some of those mundane, everyday, activities that you do at the same time every single day? Can you automate those and make your life a little bit easier? And I think that's the big thing about automation that I love about it, for instance.
So the simple thing all the way up to automating all of your tasks into one place.
Right. One of the things that you talked about in the notes as we were getting ready for this interview is the history of automation. How did automation get started?
Oh, we've got a variety of things there too, but let's look at even automation on an assembly line with Henry Ford. He figured out that if you put things on a line and do one chunk in this way and batch things, you can get more production. Automation in our today's world comes more from like lots of the tools we have.
Right.
This gives us huge automation in our pocket. It's much smaller than that Commodore 64.
Mm-hmm.
It probably cost about the same.
I read a stat once that the first computer that actually launched the first space shuttle was not as strong as the computer that's in your mobile device today.
I've read that,
which I thought was absolutely amazing.
Which is even, and that's even an older article too.
Yeah,
it's probably 5 or 6 times as much.
Oh yeah. So
those automation pieces, just even things like leaving a voicemail or automate, the ways we communicate. So automation is really tied up a lot in how we communicate.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone from the writing letters, the Pony Express,
right,
telephones, voicemails, emails,
mm-hmm.
text messages,
right,
live video,
right,
or even little video clip messages. Everything just continues to change.
Right.
And that I think the change is probably the most fearful part for most people.
Mm-hmm.
It's, oh my God, this changed again. Oh my gosh, I have to learn something new again.
Yeah.
But we're humans and we're constantly changing.
Yep.
Whether we want to or not,
and
the world's going to change around us.
Exactly. And it's a part of your life and it has been since you were born. So let me ask you a question. Okay. So I'm a one-woman show. Can I still automate things inside my business, or am I going to really be wasting my time doing this?
If you don't automate things in your business as a one-woman show, you are only going to get this much done.
Yes.
Of this much that's in your brain or this much that's in that vision you have.
Yeah.
You are only going to get that fraction done.
And I think that's the important piece, right? Is that we think, it'll only take me a minute. I can just do this thing. Mm-hmm. But if it's a repetitive task and you're doing it over and over and over and over again every single day, one of the things that I learned from last year's summit into this year's summit was a much more streamlined approach to processing the speakers this year. It has saved me so much time and has freed me up to be able to engage with the speakers and not, spend all my time down in the weeds trying to process everybody. So it really does make a huge difference that you're able to automate, especially as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur.
So let me flip the script and ask you a question.
Sure.
When you've done that, when you did that and you made that change and you automated some things, or you even as much as saving paragraphs that you send to the same people.
Yep.
There's a keyboard automation in your phone.
Yeah.
You can save little snippets that you send all the time.
Yeah.
And then you can do it that, oh, let me just answer this text message, but you're answering it with 3 paragraphs by typing 1 word.
Exactly.
Those little teeny bits, and you did that. How stressed were you this time putting this summit together as opposed to the last time
The difference was night and day, of course, because I wasn't running around trying to keep all the balls in the air. I knew that every single speaker that I contacted would go through the same exact protocol when they applied to become a speaker, when they filled out their application materials, when all those application materials were spit out into a spreadsheet so I could look at them, when they were sent the welcome email that had the link for them to schedule their meeting, when that meeting automatically generated a Zoom link. All of those pieces made it so much easier for me to simply manage all the speakers inside the summit so that I could then stop for a minute and say, oh, let me connect. Let me spend a few minutes talking to each one of them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been really important.
Gets you that deeper dive into the relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
Like life should, and it's strange. People are like, oh, you're techie. You're not about human relationships. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm a therapist and a social worker. I'm all about the relationship.
Right.
And what I'm about is let's automate like I said, automate the little things.
Yeah.
Just as much as, have you ever been on the phone and somebody said, or you talk to a friend, you meet them in the grocery store and they're like, oh, we've got to get together for coffee. And you're like, yes, I need to tell you what I'm doing. And so they're like, call me, let's set it up. You get on the phone later that night, you're both looking at your calendars going, well, I've got Tuesday at 3:00. And well, hang on. Oh, no, that won't. And well, let me call you tomorrow. Yeah. You've just spent how much time talking about when you want to set up the coffee.
Right.
When you could have spent that time like at the coffee.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, by just simply sending a scheduling link. Done.
Just a scheduling link.
Yep.
Just a way to do, and there are scheduling links you can put up to lots of calendars in, let me say.
Exactly.
I couldn't.
So let's talk for a minute about different needs. I know everyone's need for automation is going to be a little bit different. Mm-hmm. So as an entrepreneur, how do I decide what's important for me to consider?
I think it goes back to figuring out what you're working on right then, like what your big overarching goals are. And I'm gonna pull in some of my social work again. As social workers, we're trying to start where our client is.
Yes.
Or to start where the group of people, the students, the community, the policy, the issue, the project.
Right.
So I'm gonna start with, when I start with clients in technology and in automation, I'm gonna start where they're at with what they're doing.
Yes.
One, I want to know what are the things what's your vision? What are you excited about?
Yeah.
What are the things that you do well? Mm-hmm. You know, do you write lots of things well, but you don't kind of like writing on a computer? Yeah. Or, you know, I want to find out about the person behind the potential for the automation. Yeah. I want to find out what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what they're scared of, what things they've tried before, what worked, what didn't. And kind of do an assessment of where that person is and what is it, you know, if what is the thing that you do all day that you wish you could get rid of? Like for me, one of the first things was email.
Yeah.
Oh my God, email. No, please don't email me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or emailing back and forth to set up that coffee.
Yeah.
You know, I'd much rather send the person a link, have them grab the time that works for them. And have that time for the coffee.
Yeah.
And
I love how you said that you really take a look at what the individual person is looking at accomplishing in their goals. And I also look at what are their pain points, right? Because like you just said, oh my gosh, not email.
Right.
And that's important to know because if you're really not interested in processing 200, 300 emails a day, then it's important for you to have a system that's going to help you process those emails so you don't get bogged down in that. And so I think it's really important not only to know your goals, but to understand what those pain points are so that as you're figuring out what you want to automate, you're spending your time and energy wisely in putting together those systems to automate, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I would say that the process of figuring out what you want to automate may seem or not as intuitive.
Intuitive.
Yeah, you're not really looking so much at the technology. You're actually looking inside yourself and at your business and your projects and what you want to do. And you're looking deeply into those things so that you can see what it is you need in the automation and where you want to start.
Yes.
Because you may not need X tool or Y tool or something right now.
Yeah.
But what you do need, you figure out what things you really need at first and you start working on them. And eventually you may get to where you want to use the other tools, because it really is a journey and a process.
Yeah.
It's not a one and done thing.
Right.
It's not a one size fits all thing. It's every person is different in what they need, but it's also different in how it gets implemented.
Yep.
And it's not implemented overnight. I will have to say that it's not something you implement overnight, but it's something, if you do good planning on your needs and you do that deep dive into yourself of what your needs are.
Right.
And then put together a plan, it is much smoother than just, let me try this, because not all tools work together well.
Right. Yeah, integration is huge. Making sure that it's actually a system that you're going to use. Those are huge. Those are key factors when I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to use a tool to automate. But also, does it match my pain point? Does it take care of my pain point without disrupting something else in my company? And does it fit my budget? Those are all really important components when you're trying to decide this tool over that tool or whatever. So I know when I started last year's summit, I knew that there were certain things I needed inside the summit. I needed to be able to run the funnel. I needed to be able to manage the speakers. I needed to have multiple speaker pages for each speaker, because not only were they going to get the public side, but then they had to be in the membership side as well. I needed to make sure that I could provide the speakers with an affiliate link so that they could promote the summit. I needed to be, there were so many moving pieces, and to have everything integrate nicely and be able to work appropriately was a huge headache. So I found one platform and I went with it because it solved all those problems. So by understanding what is it that's my overarching goal, then I could dive deeper and I could figure out the tool.
Right. Yeah. And I think I like the way you bring up the difference, because there's somewhat the difference between somebody who's a solopreneur just starting out and maybe wants to automate one project they're working on, and somebody who's maybe more seasoned and wants to create a full fantastic summit like this. Because that doesn't mean that just because I don't mean seasoned in the use of technology. I mean somebody who wants to take on that bigger beast, because they're going to use a different tool or set of tools. Right. Exactly. And there might be a different financial point to come in at.
Right. And that's a super important component. You cannot ignore the cost related to whatever the system or the automation tool is, because it's part of your business. It's an expense, and you've got to make sure that you are managing your money appropriately. There are several conversations in the summit all about that as well.
And sometimes it's what you're buying your time back.
Right.
If you can pay $10 to get 2 or 3 hours worth of time,
that's totally worth it.
And your time's worth more than that an hour.
Yeah.
If it's worth more than $3 an hour, I think, you go for that. $10 is not bad.
Right.
You have to be able to do that cost benefit thinking.
Analysis. Yeah. So let's flip this for just a minute. What are some things that I should never automate?
Oh my God. The automation nightmares.
And there are some nightmares.
There are. When you're automating your social media posts, I would caution you to be very careful to not say, okay, if this is here, post this to Facebook. And then you have another automation piece that says, well, if this is on Facebook, put it to Twitter.
Right.
If it's on Twitter, put it to Tumblr. If it's on Tumblr, put it to Facebook. And all of a sudden, you have loop-de-loop. Which is great if you're at the amusement park. Right. If you like roller coasters and that's awesome. If
not me.
You're in business, it's migraine city.
Yeah.
Especially to go back, because you don't always notice it at first.
Right.
You notice it 2 or 3 weeks later, or somebody says, well, this is just, it posted 60 times on your wall. And you're like, what?
Oops. Yep.
You know, and to find, sometimes it's like finding a needle in the haystack.
Right.
Because
right.
the automation haystack is not small. Like I said, it doesn't grow overnight. Plus it, you know, and I would say the other thing to do when you're automating is to make sure you carefully document your plan
Yeah.
and your actions, so that you can go back and find those needles a little easier. So not creating loops is probably my number one rule.
Yeah.
You don't want to automate your face-to-face.
Yeah.
You can't automate this right here.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important one, because there is a lot of controversy about whether or not you should, you know, schedule your social media, you know, posts to go out there. And my argument for yes, you should, is that it does free you up to be able to do this engagement piece. And this engagement and relationship building piece is huge.
It's the crux.
Yes.
It is the crux of,
absolutely.
It's the crux of change. It's the crux of therapy. It's the crux of growth. It's the crux of everything, is our human connections.
Yes.
Which is funny that we're talking technology with it. But I think automating your social media is important. You just have to be careful how you do it.
Right.
You also don't want to automate 100% of it, because you obviously, especially with the huge popularity of live video chatting, where we met, even that is, you can't automate that.
Yeah.
You can't automate the spontaneity.
Right.
But what you do again is you automate some of your frequent things that you might want people to know, because they may not be on Facebook or Twitter or wherever it is at 6 in the morning when you put it on. But then if you put it on again at 10 at night, that person might be up. And you know, you've got night owls and night owls and day bugs and whatever
they're called. Right. Yeah. Wow. This has been some amazing information, and I cannot believe we're coming to the end of this interview already. It's crazy. But before I let you go, how can people reach out to you? Let's say they want to pick your brain a little bit more about this Automation 101 thing, or they want to access some of your resources, or perhaps even work with you. How can they reach out to you?
Linkola. The link will be right below here.
Automation in action.
To find out more about what you want to do. I do video consultations for people who want to think of, you know, hey, I'm thinking about this. I just want to get an idea. You know, I want to look at some of your stuff, or I, you know, want to follow you and see what you're doing. Because, you know, I put out tidbits as I find them, just like the great stuff you put out.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Stacy, for all that you have shared today. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, definitely click on the links below and take advantage of some of the resources that Stacy is sharing with you. If you find that you're really struggling to find enough time in your day, or to figure out how you can automate your business so that you can save time and ultimately increase your revenue to upscale your business, you definitely want to continue this conversation with Stacy in her advanced session, which is coming up in just a few moments. You can click on the link below and access that right now. But in order to do so, you're going to have to upgrade to the All Access Pass. If you have not grabbed that yet, there's a button below that will take you directly over to that page, so you can snag yours right now. Not only are you going to get all the live sessions that you're watching right now inside the Live Summit, but you also get lifetime access to all these deeper dives that I'm taking with every single speaker. And I guarantee you guys, you do not want to miss that one. Stacy, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate all that you've shared here today. And guys, we will see you inside the All Access Pass. Bye, everyone.